Dice, Tatang, tonight to attend in some day she read the Lasanara, Cashin to just settle the issue on the Kalikaushim do some bra, not all relation. The Ngabadi the Casa to the Shirap, Shirap lay the Carolana, the Ninji Shirap, Shirap lay the Pekachumuchi Carolana, the Suzu Chegua the Carol, Chemia the Carol, the Nigi Eshitan, the Shirap Lavora, the Ninji Shirap Lavigala, Rachan Shiba Samangi, Shiba Shirap lay the Shiba Kalod. Ya dire do dire ani nga ya shula do yin ani lo di eshitan to hesi di adu ha ma ani nga le kan do tin dam de chigora china gi de gi ani shirab lo chiba chen la shirab la ora.
So then we move on to the last and the sixth great perfection, that of like wisdom, the great perfection of wisdom. And then like generally, how do we define wisdom? We define wisdom by the as the innate capacity of the mind to differentiate between what is good for you and what is bad for you. In a very gross sense of the word, let's try to understand wisdom as this. And then like in the Buddhist practice, there is like some sort of like extra emphasis on the importance of wisdom.
제가 시럽라에 계시모 가르나 가지고 단다 짐바탄 와 있나래 수중송 와 있나래 저버공 와 있나래 삼대공 와 있나래 두주 참마라 녀랑가지 도차라 딩가디 nga디 다 야봉회디 시럽라라리 뭐라 시럽 요바이네 저버공에 전두자에네 히 가르삼대공에 가르이네 시럽이 니지 도라 시럽디 야봉요바이네 짐바즈에 야봉도 그랬어 제는데라 시럽 메나스 바로 챙아 이라도 지생하다 저기 시럽 위즈람디 야보치 메바이나 아니 바로도 심방가라 딩게 로서 중가더라 아니 디가 뭐 이스라 조비 상추 토퍼 미니베스 제가 근데 시럽 야보치 메바이나 아니 가도 파신 심바도 저도 직스로스마 저거 고마던데 제와이나야 딱딱이 뱉으시는데 베데 조비 산지길라 렌도투에디 칼카브르도 시럽이 디치고라 모디치라고 티체 아니 탑다 댄싱이 코스모토 바다 코스모토 발라 도나야 자치부시고 요라 데도마와체 아니 제가 내가 가르치는 탑다 시럽라 니요 그러니 손도 되는라 아니 내가 가르치는 탑이니도 선호 야보치 땅와이나 경하게 내가 가르쳐와이나 노트책이 말하지 그 로종 쳐와이나 내가 간데지 쳐와이나 곰 쳐와이나 탑이 손대치는 로고 해도 뺏기 좀 레스트라 담보 탑라 선다 아니 시럽디 간데 야가도다니 디라 선다 아주 이때는 내가 추주지 지내야 돼 무슨 따로 봐 자진 추주지라 아 디치네 야고도 디치네 야고 디 탑시 딘데르시 딘데는 아주 이때가 내가 추주지 지내야 탑도 시럽도 고다 디나신기 안에 예수 파신 nga dan hamang nga dosa zo ya nyame chebala shiro la rali go res tinde jese shanju samba dogi ane tinde ge karso shirabdi ane sosogi nyame chigo rel ra shiro gomani.
So now why is why do we like put great emphasis on like wisdom in the practice of a bodhisattva? Now since we defined since we put the gross definition of wisdom as this ability to judge what is good for you and what is bad for you, then it follows that like there needs to be a method to apply this wisdom in your daily life. And then like the method that we apply this like wisdom in our daily life is the skillful means that you derive from this like this wisdom. So then we talked about like the first great perfections, the great perfection of generosity, the great perfection of ethical conduct, and so on. But all of these like previous five great perfections cannot be cultivated without the basis of wisdom and without the help of skillful means. So this is why in the Buddhist spiritual practice you put like a great emphasis on wisdom.
근데 안에 단단한 지랑이다 까먹었더라. 된다기 도와주는 경험을 도와이나 티셔스라. 내가 선이가 두 대마시 요물와. 내가 못다다도 두. 도와이나 도와매매나 안 미치는 말이죠.
So up until now we covered like the 30 stanzas, and now we have like 7 stanzas left to cover. So this is a question and answer session, right? So if you have question and answers, then we carry on with the questions. But if not, then maybe we can try to continue with the text. So if you have questions, the floor is open.
Here, I don't know if you said it, but what are the three conceptual spheres?
Tadila tagin bis de sherablara sherabnala chik sum khari kham sum la yajira.
Dui chading ete kontala kali pachena. Kosum mimi da shiraba dira misum de dira. Tadan dembe yesu korsum. Chidangi sherabla da tadanga zo joba gomela jimbatan la tsamala korsum la yajira. Ta sherabla di kala kala ta sozo gomkhen de che. Ani phagi gomja de che. Gombi ne ko tende jile sum sha. Ra korsum to pala de. Tisu samachidagi gom ta yana pa thamra jar ne chun go no kala go nyoko chai sira. Kesi cheta mone gi them pa rashi gi demba to yore la na gomken de demba to yomare gomja gi chude gombi ne go ta kala mo gombi chawa jora te demba to yomala ra khosum to pala chita tende jile ko gore ta tikala ne ga shu ji pa tomba ni kan chun na kala khabar jira ine chana ji shirabla de yimba ta ani chigra ga kala chwe na shirbi de kechim ba ha ko ne de.
Okay, now if we try to go into like a detail of like what are these three conceptual spheres, and then like we have to almost engage in a very subtle level of like argument. And so let's I will just try to like tell you what are these three like conceptual spheres and just leave it at that. So the three conceptual spheres are Gomkhen Songra, the one who meditates. And then Gomkhen Gomja ani
Gombi chawa jora.
The
Gompa po Gombi chawa gonse yu.
Ale yu bani chigwa. And so then the one who one who meditates, and then like the object of their meditation, and then the moment of the meditation. So these are the three conceptual spheres.
Di chitagi di hirelu chipola mare chimba samala jaye.
This
jambala jara jimba tongwa po ani tongbe chala ani tongse yuyura to samala jaye ra kosum to lai.
So now when we talk about wisdom, we talk about meditation, right? To cultivate wisdom, we try to meditate. And now this is why the three conceptual spheres in the context of wisdom, we say like the one who meditates, the object of meditation, and the moment of meditation. But we can apply like these three conceptual spheres to all the other like 5 other like greater perfections. For example, when we talk about generosity, then we talk about the one who engages in generosity, the object of generosity, and then the moment of generosity. So this is like kind of a distinction we make in like all the great perfections.
There was a formless absorption.
Taya ba shila ya diya.
Ange taye nangka taye chiya mi sitela jura. Ra. Ta dinga zugi chata di ya. Ta dran samde na lo lan zugo ra. Samde tamba ni baso da mabu jure. Ta ina chrai zuge ta jid chipu kharala na dile namshi taye namka taye chiya mi sitse.
Tisho namshi taya ra thambo.
Namshi taye.
Ni namka taye. Chiya mi. Sitse ra.
Ta sitse ne lesana ani tarba tawe ra.
Sitse la lena tharba thobre.
Sitse le shin tarba tawe mi tingena tarba tawe. Samde na yo na ina ra.
Yes. Oh, okay. Now, like this comes from the line on concentration, right? So when we talk about concentration, then it's like a state of like meditative experience. So now, like if we go into detail, then like the other like conceptual sphere, you have to engage in a much more detailed and like subtle explanation. But that if you want to know what are the 4 formless realms, then in Tibetan it's the formless realm of consciousness, the formless realm of the namkala,
space.
in this the formless sphere of space, and then the formless sphere of Chiang Me, where there is nothing. Now this is a literal translation. I don't know what is the exact translation.
I understand.
Yeah, where there is nothing, and then the formless sphere of like the tip of samsara. Si means like samsara. Tse means on top.
You mean like you see it from above or you are out of it?
The chi may be out of it in this instance.
거의 시부쯤을 내주라.
다 코코아네 타르사라지 좀 봐.
So you are out
아주
of
코알
it.
코데라라. 먼저 야도 코알는데 저는 코데. 만남이 녀남이 마이마 녀남이래 쓰고라. 야토를 시질을 쓰고. 티보동은 코데 고르다. 나도 코알들 시질을.
시질이나 코코.
겐도도나.
So you are not out of it yet. You are on the top of samsara, and the bottom is like one point in the lowest point of hell. And these are the two extremes. So
I understand.
yes.
But if samsara is a circle, then
Cycle like this.
then how can you be on the top because it's a circle?
Because when you are born on the top, then one day you're born in the one day it's possible for you to be born in the lowest realm.
So this is when you are the top of samsara and when you are in the realm of the gods, right?
Yes.
God realm, like the first one. Okay.
Sizilana tal hagi kobandojira.
시질을 진짜 코도 고거로 진테는 그런 코알들아. 네 야도야 말에 안 치대오라.
So a kind of way to understand it is like not as a circle, but as a cycle.
Yes. Okay.
The four formless realms are experienced in meditation.
Yes. Especially when you talk about concentration.
신바.
So concentration is meditation.
Yes.
All the time in the text, is it like a when you study a Buddhist text, when they refer to concentration, does it always means meditation or only in this text?
Something laneda nganzogi lawa ta yora. Ni nangbagi tarum nangla. Something lawa ta gomi ba chapyores.
지난 그 something that is somewhat temporary. 지금 요초조 많이 temporary 코라. 이내야 something 곰래 돼. 지금 단나가서 something 당분이 무슨 말이냐. 강사 코랑이 내치 곰비 치료 가가래면 되래. something 당분이 무슨 말이 그 강사를 줘라. 나 되리시제. 지난 거 지금은 something 라는 거 좀 somebody temporary 네. 배 요초조 많이 봐. 맞아 단다 가려나 주다 티로 되잖아 주도. 맞아 될 곰로 제 배 키로 끼지 남서 파드시도. 맞아 내 곰제데 파 티마시 그 남서 드시도. 제가 맞아 템포요. 가서 쇼도도. 맞아 센도 가서 마디 control 치동다 까통다. 쇼도. 템포 메베다.
So then I told you like maybe I told you about the three conceptual what was it? Spheres. And I told you it applies to like all these other greater perfections. So just the term concentration, it doesn't necessarily mean meditation. But like when we say to cultivate or to meditate on concentration, then of course we mean concentration as a form of meditation. Because just like try to like look at ourselves when we try to meditate, we do not, even when we are trying to concentrate, we are distracted easily, right? And then like when we talk about like the different forms of meditations and the different levels of meditation, then we classify like the first level of concentration, samden thangpo, second level of concentration, samden niwa, wherein like you kind of develop your concentration more and more. Yes.
신바. 하다.
Yes.
So I have a sort of follow-up question. Before we were talking about money and emptiness and all of that, and I understand it. But I have a question more related to attachment, because so I'm attached to money, like I need it, like what we talked before. And then I'm thinking like because of my attachment to money, I'm just taking money as an example, but because of my attachment to money, then sometimes I can be stressed, I can feel stress in relation to like, I don't know, not making enough money or something like that. So I'm wondering like how, we are talking about anger, and I'm thinking like how do we approach stress Do you even have a word for it in Tibetan? Like
The word for what?
stress.
Yes, we have stress. 건설은 그거에 나올라 스트레스는 지 요래를 다뭐 독발을 돼요. We are human beings too.
Okay, so if we sum it up, so I have an attachment to money, and because of that, sometimes I can feel stressed about it. And it's not like I know I will not be homeless. It's not, yeah. But I still have the feeling of stress. So how do you approach stress?
So in the end, the question is, how do you approach this stress that money, that your concern for money brings in your life?
In the situation where I have an attachment to something that I cannot just let go.
Okay. 또 그런 지와디 다기 양무이다 동반이 레주라 디가랑 있다 디 세보차선 이네 지와디 가리라나 다 링보지 랍스라 소소기 되차기 겜베 무이들라니 무이들라 다 차기 두스 가자는 나다 균젠라나 아니 나 갈라기다 낭멘을 하이니 두미민두스 라 대사요 요지 고르스 데네도 균젠 망고따디라 인데 균젠 가릴라타나 낭무 딜라 차기 두스 라 ngui de la chadu zambani ngai gi semnala da khana gir ta semsap stress lai ra semsap da ni semnala da di stress mango legi dus ani odila ngai da khandes di chores dolen khande chores
되게 집어라 미창아말라 대야 사야 또 고라 이 시고시분 감다 치는 네 남자가 할 때요 네야 디디 아주다 지딩들 안가서 류디 초고디 갈라 직차야 또야 나야 참 안도 참아 집어지냐 열라 집에서 해 봐라 말이야 근데 이디가 나서 참아라 이디가 디 초야 지가는 안도 다시지 걸어 아 다시지 어디 갈라 있냐 세 렘보지 치라 나라 고고도라는 심바 참아 야메 땅 같이 꼴라는데 제마라 와 수수기 직무도 지 다시 몇년 치고이나 탑시다 땅 오르 서서라 지 고고르 때 이네 세대 겹지 배 강아마도 심바 쓰가는 메메라이로 근데 이거 디디가라 중우들 아야라 탑시 땅은 봐 밀을 주바자고 있는 좀 마시고이나 다시 탑시 두자들 다니다 근데 지는 배주신데 야마라 이네 지난 사야도에 있었다 참아도 참아라 왜 집어지냐를 했으라 근데 수수디 체디가라 타마디야 보상을 따야다 아니 디 무도 지고에 무도 제비가라 지밀을 내마지 수수 배우데 오지가라 수투에 다시 따는 게 기침으로 해서 든지 시럽라야 하려고라
now like this question could be reframed as like how do I use my wisdom in like approaching my relation with money and stress, right?
Or just stress.
Or just stress. Okay, and it's a given fact of life. Like everybody goes through this, right? Now Tibetans, still human beings, we know what stress is. Now, it's a given fact of life. Like everyone goes through this. Even as Tibetans, we have the need to earn money. Why? Because we need to sustain and survive too. Like everybody, this is a given fact of life. First, we need to accept this. Everybody is running after money to sustain themselves and to survive. Now, acceptance of this fact. Now, after accepting of this fact, then you know like this is not just a particular problem that you only have. Right? Everyone goes through it. Now, when you have this stress, then try to mitigate that stress by thinking in this way first. Right? Everyone is trying to make a living. Everyone maybe has the same problem. And now, try to think from a wider perspective. How are you approaching like the way you earn your money? Right? And how are you approaching the relation that you have with money? Is the relation that you have with money is defined by like too much greed, right? Like, I need to earn for myself. I don't care about anyone else. Is it defined by this kind of like approach, or or then the wisdom part of like the approach comes in, wherein like the method of earning, like how are you earning it? Then if you are not engaging in any kind of illegal way of earning it, and you are not committing any murder to earn it, or engaging in any type of like a negative action to earn it, then be satisfied that at least like you are not engaging in this like negative ways of earning money. And in this way you try to mitigate the stress and recalibrate the relation you have with earning money and the stress that it comes with it.
지난 먼저 시소로 따나 하고더라. 그래서 정말 미 참을 집어라. 미 가시를 좋은 인생을 유지로 되려고라. 그가 미 가시 때 둘로대야 말을 건 거에 대해서 소소 차도 하나를 다 그래 얘도 요래. 네. 미 참을 찍게 소소에다 저거에 단전 집어지냐래. 이내야 시소로 맞다 보는 거 저도 가시 배 뭐고 된다라 쉬우지 저거다. 그래. 타마타시들다 띵구로지를 투소는데니 뭐차에 말에 좀마시고서히 자빠져고서 저 고마져고서 자 담을치니 타마타시들 수수 정한도 왜 지고 수수도 뭐네 거라 명함 차트네 지고라 타이네 가서 초고래 칼라마산 이미지 되는 것도 되도 말에 이내 들라파페 수수 탑시시당 그 밑에 기보치네 안도 하지 되게 탑시당 오라 나 밀라시라네 마치야 소소의 수우지우지 뭐 차체중 참만이 빵니 내가 근데 제 마고바 딱딱시도 로고에 개천더라.
So now I want to give you this example, like if you think about it, like everyone, all of us, actually when all of us have like only one stomach, it is not like that some people have like 3 or 4 stomachs. But then like when we look at the way like the way like there are different kinds of people in society, then we see like some kind of people like they have this extreme sense of greed, right? Wherein like in their pursuit of money, they lose like all sense of shame and judgment, and then they commit in like when it comes to money, like they are not willing to like they are willing to cross like all sort of morality, and like and like the extreme cases like we see like people going to prison because of like their like financial dishonesty or like financial crimes. And so it's very important like to look at the negative effects that greed has like in this kind of extreme like cases, and then try to compare that with yourself and try to develop a sense of like contentment, at least like in my like relation with money and in my like attachment to money. I still have not like let go of my sense of judgment, my sense of morality and my sense of shame. So in this way you can try to arrive at a point of like contentment with yourself.
근데 가서 다 배로 진심이 마샤르마 시소도 만데오고 시리가 순서를 디스코데야 도라더라. 근데 배도는 디셔 마지나 두저라로라. 그런 거 나라에도 데코노로 그냥 때문에 여바치고 많이 봐. 시소는 예래예래 지가 삼단다로지 팽게를 상시 그거라. 진짜 콘서트 가디는 통데 시험 공부들을 해야지 무시라.
Now like I would like to ask you, like when I give you like this, try to give you these examples, like this simple real life examples, like this day-to-day examples. I hope like it really helps you to like gain a new perspective and gain a better understanding of the practice. Otherwise, like as I try to engage with you like with these examples, if it doesn't help you, then please let me know. It helps. Good approach.
All. This 아니라 그냥 뭐야. 그냥 통대로라 시소는 다 버렸어. 이내 남자가 시소는 중국에 거는 남산은 다 그거라. 이 반대와지 그래. 어디 진지 그 디시라. 네. 시바 question.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, it helps, but I would ask if you would say that there's a part that you feel that you cannot share by talking about it, that you know from your own practice that for you personally it made a big difference to realize it in meditation. meditation or in whatever practice you apply?
Realize what?
That basically what we are reading here, like to convey what a bodhisattva is about in words, but then maybe the meditation has been different through meditational experience, or not?
You kind of answer yourself with that question, actually. But I will ask her. Geshema Dawa Dolma ta thanda pe mangbo shani sungdos nyamnyung bani mangbo shani sungdos ta kirangi gomrum nyamnen do dis che ras di chidu zamba an thanda nganzu gese lane sodu magi ji di tinde che ore pinde che ore mangbo sunera tinde gomrum nyamnen chidu zamba sem nangla nyongsor do nyamnen chidu zamba ta dubala ne tokbala ne khanla ne ta susula di resha la do ta chi sowa chigli girwa tende le gyo chigyora tanda kirangi dela nganzola dishe gyabde zamba she mape ba ta dinga gi semna la nyarna mo to konzola she na diksa mare she mape ba ji tende do ji duela ne kuke jatir
ale de she mape ta kimra ne susula da konzola pen to mo to taura ro pen ma da ba mama ji she ne da kozu tizu thola ro suzu mila pa suzu gan she ba de pa she ba de pen to ji ko ra ine ya di 디시나 춘조라 진지 안데 개상 잠자 마부시 잖아 야 잠자 가서 럽주리 하고 거래 얘기까지 배 마부시 버르는 건 주사 창사 말하지 자기도 제가 나로 있는 아랑이 말로 시디가라 카레이나네 게레기다 챙이 타고도 럽비가라 된다 하마원 넘서 빼시되나 빼디가라 심투에 나라라 디 칼럽 시에 냠뇨로 주라 가시는 디 빼곰다 된다 지구시는 고천이로인도 나라로 있는 나라 게요신이 나라기 라마듯이 이 마시 아니 디 빼가나서 아 빼람선 주투 아니 된다 하고 디 펜도 들어 소소들 디지 펜토고에 와선장에 아니 진 빼다는 시대였어.
So there really isn't anything that I'm trying to hide from you. I think like I can actually share like everything, but then like it boils down to like is it relevant, right? To talk about it. And then like my fear is not about like should I actually talk about this to the students. My fear is like flooding you with too much information sometimes, giving you too much information. But I have this fear, and I take this approach by giving you like examples and trying to elucidate the meaning with examples. Because in my own personal experience, when I was taught by my teachers, just like when they explained the meaning straight to me, I really had a hard time like grasping the concept. And when they approach it with like by giving examples, then I was able to like relate to the meaning or relate to the concept more, and I had a better understanding. But of course, some people they just catch on the meaning like that. So this is why I take this approach of like giving you examples, recounting personal experiences.
Okay.
I apologize in advance if this isn't something everyone would ask. There's obviously a difference, or maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a difference between an actual bodhisattva and someone who takes a bodhisattva vow. And I wonder how she feels about lay people who take the bodhisattva vow, and if she believes that the scriptures of Vilamakirti are written as a guide for lay bodhisattvas.
The question is the last question?
The scriptures of Vilamakirti.
Oh?
The scriptures of Vilamakirti. I think
Color.
they're written as a...
The scripture of?
This text.
Oh, this. Oh.
No, it's not. Yeah.
No. Like, please repeat it. I didn't catch it.
Vilamakirti. I might be saying.
Vimala Mitra.
Yeah, probably what I'm saying.
Vimala Mitra lane jiora. Also the Pakwado. Chandra Kriti there is. Maybe I'll check on the phone. Yeah. Chandra Kriti is Dawa Thakwa. Vimala Mitra I have heard. Vimala Kriti, I think. Let me check, yeah, first. So it's a person, right?
Yes.
Vimalakriti doesn't show. Chima me bathakar tempos. Vimalakriti. Vimalakriti is the central figure of the Vimalakriti Sutra, which presents that. Okay, now this is type of like tadi dorjithe pado oreda. Vimalakriti la ne da Vimala Sutra do. Vimala Sutra gi do rojidura. The progenitor Sutra is a wealthy and prominent citizen of the time of Shakyamuni in the Sutra here. But I don't find a Tibetan translation of this name. Vimalakriti. Tima mebala adinda jiomarra.
Tima meba. Tima the chidang ngazu nyumombe tuba the shiye tuba so trade is na nirmal la tima meba charo. Fiji the lejeki Sanskrit.
Yes.
Nirmal.
And I am not well schooled on the different schools of Buddhism, so I'm not going to be asking a completely irrelevant question.
Chesan the Hindi la de tima meba tima eba nidosh leda. Di pomo the jaga mara pomo. Nidosh Hindi में बोलता है निर्दोष आप हिंदी आता है निर्दोष में जैसे कि क्या बोला हम राग दोष इसको गिव अप करते समय हम निर्दोष हो जाता है राग दोष है ना इस प्यूरिफाई करते समय फिर हम निर्दोष हो जाएंगे ना
प्योर
चीज़ ताकत वाला है जट्टी में ताकत
तो कौन लगी दी निर्मल लामर्दा Vimala Mitra. Okay, now can you repeat the question?
I was just curious how she feels about lay people taking the Bodhisattva vow. That there's a difference between actually being the Bodhisattva and taking the Bodhisattva vow.
ताको दिले दो मिचे तो शांति से मैं दोबारा नहीं योरे ला मिचे ना शांति से मैं योरे दरा शांति से बाला दी इंजी मिंजी थावा आनी इंगो मरा शांति तंदे शांति किसने लाये देखा ना जेंस मिचे हाजी किसान तानी की तेरे जी खांसा जो गोरा रानी चिबो चेदे मायेंगे तेरे शांति से मैं योरे.
So the first question was is there a difference between the actual Bodhisattva and the one who takes the vow of Bodhisattva? Of course there is a difference. If you kind of want to know, then let's look at the actual Bodhisattvas as someone who has attained bodhicitta and who will never lose that. Then the one who, then we can take the vow of Bodhisattva. And now your second question, can lay people actually become Bodhisattva or take the vow of Bodhisattva? Of course you can. And there are most of the examples that we see in the sutras of Bodhisattvas, they are actually lay people.
So
if you go to the teachings of the Dalai Lama, they always give you this initiation on vow of the Bodhisattva, irrespective of whether you are a lay person or you are a monk or a nun. Other questions?
I can't remember, somebody asked earlier about attachment and relationships, romantic and how that could work. And we said we would answer later. I can't remember the exact question.
Oh yeah, but we didn't get to hear the question too. I think it was her. Oh, it was you.
No.
It was her, I think.
Okay.
So what is the question in your mind? Maybe you can share that question.
Because you get attached to, what's the difference between love and attachment?
Okay.
Would you ever say we could get to that in the text, no?
Oh yeah?
That's true.
But
I don't see that.
love the touch led the color of the Tinipe Kundu Yamasuda, color of the Noyag in a pair, Daudo Pera, and so the Chashin, Chitang Zewa, the Penang of the Pamada, Pula, Zewa, Chabai, Tang of the Simji Shimbachila, Simji doing what they do, doing what the Digitoina, 콜라 착바 메바이나 콜라 아든지 배 동해 둘라네 콜라 자와 되어라 그 동해들 전에 찜마로 냠베기 데데기로도 자와 차오라 라 아니 양 차셰데 갈라는 수수 파마다 수수 가보니 뭐 토보토모 하레네 잠자 얘기 나다 타냐고 여자라 콜라 동해 마음에 좋아서 티때 자와 여데 착바드 데려 라
So, okay.
티때 잠잠 저 노래뱅인가 라
So it's a very good question. Like, how do you differentiate between love and attachment? And the Dalai Lama, when he gives a teaching, he always stresses like the distinction between these two. And then, like, how do we define love and how do we define attachment? So, in the Buddhist, in the Buddhist like teachings, love is characterized as this wish of freeing someone else from their suffering. 신다디 더 동일의 트 사마들라 자와
동해 좀 같이 통으라 동해들 전에 말고 동해들 제로지나 섬에게 배 샷사로 실리다 늘레가 니 빙야다 니게 되어요 말라 디 파기기 강예들 따네 코딜 태부 두산에다 보다 베디 제로지나 치마로냐 로저로 라 수수기 치투니 저 제마도나 야다데 동해들 메바쇼 섬에게 로지레나 이 자와 칼다 베기 돈이 자와라 원다 딜라블레네 이토 하우스라
So love in the Buddhist sense of the word is defined like that, this like natural concern for the suffering of others and that wish for that suffering be like, removed. So this is the way we define love in the Buddhist sense of the word. Then what is attachment, right? And then attachment sometimes takes on the quality of love, but only when it's like an extension of yourself, my lover, my parent, my friend, right? And this is why like we get confused, but the distinction is very clear.
तनाजु फेगे तोला तनाजु दिखले तनाजु nga khala la gal ora khala la nga di che le le mara ha ti ngadu bandu yang ai mi ti la gabo ye de la na ya ti go le le da tanaजु shira
ha laira I love khare chiksa go ye do la
ora ana mandi
now maybe like di chiglasha ora
chitange tanaजु ngadu फेगे तोला ina ngadi khala de la gabo ye la ora khala de la che yo mara khala di she sa la gabo ye di ga ta di chapata di ora ora ne ya di nga khala de la che yo le go mara.
So in the Tibetan language, in the language itself, like it creates a distinction between these two. We do not say like I love eating this food. We say like I like eating this food. So it's not like sewa is love and gao is like to like or like as a quality of like attachment. So in our language, like we have this distinction clear. But when we talk about the English language, then the confusion starts. Like, right? You say like I love spaghetti, I love this. So maybe this is how we maybe should try to like look at it.
Yang pergi tulang tu mici cila gaya lana, gaya macam mana ya mara. Apa nak kau gaya ini dah. Tangan, ti ngan tu cik tu sama tanda ya.
Yeah. So this is not to say like the Tibetan language is superior, but I will give you an example of the deficiency of the Tibetan language too. Now when we say like if you like someone, in English you can say I love someone, right? But in the Tibetan language we still use the word that we use to eat food. We say like I like you, the same word.
In French too, it's okay.
Oh, okay. So maybe like we try to use our reason, and then like you say linguistic, whatever, but in the end it's just reason. And by reason, relating it with your real experience, then we make the distinction,
다 간저게 배 나치 치치돌로 시원나라. 소나도 파마라 가와요. 저와요. 이제 줘. 라. 다 미시마질랑도 가데 가타르지 미순지 동야 오셔라. 진네바로다 지상나다 마신 이제 미 괜찮으로 통도. 이제 지서 유로. 도저랑도 저와려고 가와도 시리리. 라. 디니버로 치바셔나라. 데 attachment love 시라 하오메라. 이네야 인지 돌랑가 하오메라. 이네 가도 베게 돌아 가와다 저와라 시라. 뭐데
Okay, now one very simple way of like distinguishing between love and attachment. I don't know like how you approach it, but like with this example it becomes like plenty clear. Like you can love and like your parents, right? But when you see someone else suffering, you cannot like that suffering, or you cannot like that situation. You can only approach that situation with love, right? So this is the distinction that we make. Yeah? Clear? Other questions?
So what you're saying is you don't like it, but you still try to help, like you still try to free someone of the suffering.
Maybe can you please repeat the question?
Just what you said, like you don't like the situation, but you still approach it with love.
비기 밀라 미 두부냥 되게 디소소기 가기 마로스. 비 두부냥 야경 내당들라 마가네 수수기 딘내당들라 돌렌치드 섬버 제와 소르네 체고래라 이들라.
그들라 테로치네 지만은 대화디 얘기 지고다니라.
So of course, how did we define love in the Buddhist sense of the word? A concern for the suffering and the wish for that suffering to be removed. So in that definition, the answer is clear.
가장 치치르미 르미 주지들 배샤이 바로 딜베 가가가가 말아 라 이네 고 니지기 맞은 배 콜라강에선 배미 좀 내가 제리기디 무들래 타시나다 딜베 짜요 고 니젠드라 다디 강이 추추무슈 디 강이들 대하게 탑시나 거라 디디가 가라 들리기라 되게 말아 라 짜와들이요.
So as we talked about the example of this dog infested with lice and these like a historical figure, we talked about that example too. So imagine yourself in that shoe, and then like you are taking on that act not because you like it, but because out of love. And what is love? This concern for this dog to be out of his misery, right?
Would you say that love is not about yourself? Maybe if you like something, it's more, I don't know, it just in just listening to this, like love is more of a from the heart kind of, it's about the other thing.
제와라나요라 소소기 치도다 소소거지 말도와스 제와라도 뭐 가디니 신다기 치도 저지 삼노 땅에 된제르베스
소소레 소소 삼노땅마힌 소소소레 니제요라 아세가 엔데드 조고지데라 소소 로자니 루삼노땅마힌 소소소레 제원주르 파기레 제원주라 이네 지다 마장한 제와라디가 둥해질 파테 데이데버로시 데지고라.
So this is not really about self and the others. It's in relation to suffering. And suffering, you can go through suffering, right? As the other can go through suffering. So this is a reaction to suffering. Love, the concern for suffering and the wish to remove that suffering. So like now you have like this concept of self-love. So it makes sense. Like so it's not about others and self. It's just a concern, a reaction to suffering, and that wish to remove that suffering within yourself or like out of yourself.
디 컨디션데 란나바 파이 감독이 미네바로다 아니 지요다 강해디 통우다 디 나이는 알칼레 가지고서라 디 사무다 베나 디 서로 나뉘면은 코페이서는 것들은 어떻게 하고 소소가 나뉘어체 아니 파이서는 아 이제 딱 코스페 슈슈문 나오러서 맹게만 나뉘으래 디가 나도 배 콜라 샤자 마리다 라 세상 가서 등이 알아서 등이 마무리 념되자 파이게 등이 아디 등에도 빼가래 가고 이제래 로들려 라 파이게 이제는 수소된 데와요 어디 빼강이도 도대메 버지 나기 맞이나서 빼가래 가고 이제가 콜라 로버치고래 로들리다.
맞소. So maybe when we talk about love, I should try to get an understanding of like what love means in the Buddhist sense of the word. Then it's almost impossible to approach love without the concept of empathy too, you know. So I'll give you this example. Like if you had an experience of going to the dentist to remove a tooth, then you know the pain and you are able to empathize with that pain. But if you have never went to the dentist and you see someone like suffering with a toothache, then you are not able to have this concern or this love or like this empathy for the person. So it's about like it starts from a place of empathy, of course, because, and then why? Because we told, we have come to the acceptance that all sentient beings want happiness, doesn't want suffering. So in this way, like, we empathize with all sentient beings and then develop love in ourselves.
This is why suffering can be good, because it gives us an understanding of someone else's suffering.
Yes. 아니 저디 덴데리 나다 아니 동예라이디 버니 초진다나 야고레다스 가자는 동예라이디 깽게는 안주 미신달라다 덴데 삼시도 체토요라스
제자들이 먼저 그다음에 동예 매번 현주 밀려요. 제가 가서 잠이 갈다 미스미디 취취라 그거 야슈드래라 그러라. 가지는 아주 과를 코디에 코에 동예 뭐 좀 용어라. 아데 코아들 제구도라니 아니 가서 취취에 로당 한 찍게 당아 전혀 매치는 거 아버지 지구사 로데고 담보런 기부로 여 이나라. 아니 취취에 로들리기 말아. 봐. 제가 나와서 빼는 가서 되는데 당한 소리는 난 남서 취취하래. 공부를 해지도. 만나는 아니 대바지로다. 제가 디 강에도 잠자 강에도 이나 졸지 미야부 차라 펜토체다 미추바 차라 펜토다.
So it is exactly like you said, and we even have a line in the sutras wherein say like without suffering there is no renunciation, right? So it beautifully like captures the essence of how we should approach, and with this line I think it kind of clears up the distinction we need to make between love and attachment. Yes?
What's the difference between compassion and pity?
Pity, now I need to look this word up too.
피디를 샤차오르나.
샤차와도 오지래.
I don't know how to explain, my English is not so.
In English I understand the word and I know what it means, but like I'm trying to think of the Tibetan equivalent.
Because some people like the pity they see it as a bad, like you should not pity me, or, you know what I mean?
Let me try to find like what it is.
So for me I have trouble finding the difference.
Okay. 양아 왜 닝지로 줄다. 어디 잠바다 닝지다 이미시라 비tiled.
샤차. 너는 아주 이거 레이더. 미카지 산노 땅 마시니. 더. 디건은 남자 비지 인지 돈을 비tiled 레이면서. 시존난 로디 미카시 베 산노 땅에 엔드 로디니다. 다들 니제라 호라 칼로. 코다데 샤차고 제가 너디더라. 그러고 하모. 너는 아주 샤차지 둘레이더. 아. 디가지 단는 말이고 산노 땅 노디 디가라 치 두제시는 디고 말아. 때로버로 지내지 마도. 다데 샤차야라는 실례지. 먼저 리슬리다. 인지 돈을 피티스니 내면은 것이 아주 샤차네.
그래서 또 당보 기심하기 디 잠발라나 가르레라네 디 디시치나나. 제와라나 디르라와. 아니 잠발라나
진짜 이들래 잠발라네 파길래지 상종체야로시야. 라. 제가 대변은 아주 파길래 순지에 동해와 같이 통나. 라. 동해도 통는 가지고 배 걸어 힘져라. 배 다가 들레테 되버지 되고. 다디 저 너발에 안 수수가 탑시는 다 상보체야로 근데 요. 들레 잠발래.
Okay. Now like I'm not able to find the exact word in Tibetan, but the Geshema has a sense of the word and I understand what it means. And so like just to see like if this is what you mean, I'll give you this example. When in society there are some kind of people who are like always in some sort of like trouble and always like always in some sort of trouble and mentally they are not like in the right place, and then like someone like who even when you try to advise them wouldn't really help, that kind of person if you see in society, then out of like kind of desperation, like there is no way to help this person, then if you feel like some sort of pity in that sense of the word, is that what you mean when you say pity? Okay, now like try to define like what pity is.
I don't know. I don't know myself, so for me I don't see the difference.
between pity and compassion.
Yeah, what I know is that
Question.
pity is a little bit more like arrogant, like condescendent. It's like you feel very sad for somebody.
Then you can have self-pity.
I don't know how to explain. There is somebody.
Okay, maybe we share about this. Yeah.
Well, like pity suggests looking down.
Yeah.
Like you see a child who's hurt his foot, and you're like, oh, poor thing, or a beggar, and you feel pity. Which can be, again, the word is like this big. It goes from being arrogant in a negative sense to a positive thing when it's like, overlapping with compassion. But I guess compassion is more equal. When you're being compassionate, feeling compassion or empathy, you imagine yourself as them, seeing same level. Whereas pity would be like, seeing a beggar or someone below.
Yes.
You had a point?
No,
you had a point?
Yeah, for me, like self-pity is more like suffering with the other person, not self-pity but pity, like going also into the suffering, and then there are two people who suffer. And like compassion, as I know, is like feeling the other person maybe out of self-experience or out of empathy, but also having the motivation to kind of help or to support, and yeah.
So koi lana yora, pidi lana khatuine mila mataya doshi. Mila mataya member mataya doshi. Kajana ne so la pidi ligro astam. Sem shum chidu zambayora. Moi lana pidi lana mishinda digi dugwad la ta samshiro tis yune yora. Mishinda dala ningje ma same doji. Dine doji. But
pity le pegi shatsa le mara. Di
shatsa le di dang anzo dinde doji re ta nyore do.
Ngazo di mara. Kozo gi inji gi tidi ngazo le di karla nang ngi ha mara. Ra pity le de pegi to karla gi ha ngi di ka dagi jandi ra. Kozo gi tik dam le kele ngazo di gala dagi jatan nona ra.
Now like I'm not able to like translate this straight into Tibetan, and like this is why I asked you like all to like define what pity is, and I looked it up, and then like the translation is not satisfactory in this too, and then but in Tibetan we have a saying called shatha. This I think is like very near to pity, but we are not, both of us, we are not so sure like if this is what you mean by pity, but like that. The chamba ngai kandere lan jeshi gana in konzo hagodura. So okay, now to like your question is compassion and pity. What is the difference?
Yeah, because sometimes I feel that I have compassion for people, but they see it as pity. So maybe it's my way of showing it.
Okay,
that
now.
I think I'm looking down.
Okay, now maybe like we understand it better if we know what compassion is, right? And then like in the Buddhist sense of the word, compassion is defined really clearly. You know, what is compassion? We say love is this concern for suffering and wishing to remove it. Compassion is the actual engagement in this removal of suffering. So it's an act, not just a wish. See?
Yes.
And I think if you think of like self-pity, feeling sorry for yourself versus having compassion for yourself and like holding yourself gently and doing something to help ease your, I think that.
So yeah, with this kind of example you can relate, yeah? If you have compassion for yourself, then like you have more ways to work with yourself. But with self-pity, it's different, you know? It pushes you more into like... So I think clear between pity and compassion?
I don't know, I think I started a linguistic debate.
Sometimes translating it into another
Pitié ou compassion.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is different. Ningje la na yang logara yang. Ningji logara. Mars. What did that jabo re la gore? Na konzo la jo da tak tak hi min da. Shasa ningje la da chibara. Mari konzo nupcho ge jira. Konzo exam na pity self pity la na khadu gora da khoa ji gyor. Inne da nanzo ge ji rikshu na la min da adi. Odi. Oh sorry.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I don't have English.
Okay. Then.
And then she has.
I just wanted to also like maybe clarify it more.
Mhm.
For me, like self-pity also, or pity is coming from a place of victimhood. So it's like disabling yourself, or disabling the other person kind of. And compassion is more like
Empowerment.
Empowerment, yeah, exactly.
Compassion future is.
Pity lana konzo pity than self pity la jora. Dilana so duk so pam so na suggest in legi ores. Like you said, like when you are looking down on yourself or other. And compassion lana so la nyudop ke chungye ro jora. Tinde ro ji.
되게 님 쉬이 바시. 저기 벽에 돌려 벽이 샤차라에 들리면서. 샤차라에 야이 미토에서 가서 샤차라에 말. 거기 이제 샤차라에다. 그래도 근데 러브시도 있네. 딱딱해 라tum들아. 저런 저기 비디레 쳇셔야 되고. 근데로 저기도. 근데야 샤차에다 저거지를 통하라. 그냥 아주 실로로 같이 미미죠 가면 하면 너 이제 그러. 다들 샤차 딱 가지고 가서 제일 제지민들. 근데로 실로 나도 도저히 도로는 기타 통고도 같이 감면이죠 같이 미미죠 같이 뒤에 신나서도 나 지랑 가서 샷살을 가려나 샷살을 나가서 샷되는 칼로다 차도 나도 어디 집에 쉬어요 아 들어봐라 수수파이 통하다 랑성 마대 쉐드 샷살을 뒤라고 그게 돌아라 나도 비리나 가리나
Now in the Tibetan expression we're still trying to get to the bottom of like what this pity is actually in the Western sense of the word, and now we're trying to.
I think it's a mix between.
Yes, and now like just to clear up like Geshema's doubt, in the Tibetan sense of the word, shatsa means like sha is like flesh, and tsa is like this prickling sensation. You know, when you pinch it, that like or when you are pricked, that sensation is called tsa. So like you get this like prickling sensation in your skin when you see like this type of situation. When you go like to Bodh Gaya on pilgrimage, you see like beggars without eyes, without limbs. In this situation you really cannot do anything, and then you have this sensation like from inside like this is the type of like pity, like maybe we are saying like is this close to it, and then Geshema says like maybe it's close because in Tibetan we can never use this expression, to someone who is in the higher echelons of society, someone who is more powerful than you. You can never pity, like you can never say shatha to this type of people. You can only say shatha to someone less fortunate than you. So maybe now you debate among yourself.
When he says the looking down thing, I just thought about you have like stories or image of people like prostrate, like doing prostration in front like of a king and say like have pity on me, more than they don't say have compassion and say have pity on me.
Now like let's not go down this rabbit hole. Then like Tibetan, I try to listen in Tibetan, it gets more confusing I think. No, okay. Different, yes, good.
In number 22, it says practice of Bodhisattvas is not to entertain concepts revolving around dualistic notions or perceive and perceive. So is Tibetan Buddhism, in your opinion, Advaitic or non-dual? And to be a Bodhisattva or enlightened means realizing the oneness of everything and that there's no boundaries between objects.
Now these are very problematic terms, like when we use like these terms like oneness of everything, because we need to understand Buddhism first, like what is it talking about, right? But I'll pose the question to her, and if you don't mind, can you please like repeat it and try to like make it a little bit shorter?
In number 22, it says it suggests what being Bodhisattva means getting rid of dualistic notion or perceive and perceive. So is Tibetan Buddhism Advaitic or non-dual?
Is Tibetan Buddhism non-dual or?
Non-dual, or in Hinduism it's called Advaita.
Okay.
And like maybe she knows Sanskrit.
Advaita.
And so being a bodhisattva, being enlightened, is the realization of that. That's like the final point.
Okay. Okay. That tanda nganzo tsik di tsikje nisani di rara. Dina la da nima maimba la ni chishe yongora.
Nima.
Nima imba. Di nganzo yuda yujin la yadundero kol chishe yongoda. Namdo tan.
Nawan da nagi seni de tribe tada tes. Tini shina zunzen ra. Zunzen chama nas. Yela meji jese la li. Chitan dikol chitan tayin da tawala tombani kola pabe shu chabu zuru da. Tanda ko karle tini la yedi.
Tan dina la yuda yujin la yado gejero chishe gida ya. Dwa. 가지는 그 통연직다 통사래 이게 저 시외라다 동반이 되게 하려 되죠 봐 거기에다 어디라 니마로직도 여라다 디 통연직 통사직는다 간주기 니 딱되어라도 스탄다 디 된담라 요 말에라니다 된데기야 디 디지어라 아니 거기 어디라나 다 인지톤라나 간주기 논 듀얼리스틱 돌라기도 듀얼라는 니차라 디 니마 마임바라야지어라다 니마 마임바기 아니 다 똑바로 줘라. 상마다 찍래래. 상마 찍래래. 근데 똑바로 지그라. 니마 요 말래. 니마 요 말래기 똑바로디. 니나 아니 칼레그래. 낭배 쳐라나 벽이 낭 쳐라나요라. 근데 니마 똑 마임베기지. 근데 찍래래. 니마 다 요 말래 줘라.
이제 요 말을 거래. 유도 이제니가 요 말을.
유다 유진이가 요 말래 근데 지래.
근데 기상간도 다 인기를 뒀어라. 유도 이제니가 요 말을 해야 돼. 덴버트 병원에 파이가 라싱이라. 티티 레가 말 엄마 파이 따와드래가. 티 칼카고 요래. 남선들이 고쳐주지 뭐네 말이다. 로 만볼로 주신 제일 최고로 스타나가도 되는 것도 제도해 줘. 이내야 간다 가를 나오나. 먼저 기타이 먼저 만보지 되는 고투구다. 직파 따들 자가 되네. 로 방구 디레 파 자가 되는 니마도 디레는 도도때 말아. 이나와는 요 말에는 요래. 아주 지den이 타니가 나서 비지다에 가리는 시단지 직 아주 비지다에 요러. 타니도 요. 된다도 매. 다 디레. 디갈 레기스고. 타니도 요래. 가서 디레 팀마디 타니도. 니 팀마레 니레는 다보자 요러. 요 말에는 요래. 오늘 요나 랑은이 거는 뱀버 두고지라. 팀망으로 거랑이 나 팀마 인생이 도지만 근데 요라는 요 말이지. 딜레 페이지디.
Now, like as I stressed before, when we talk about emptiness, then like we have to like approach it like with subtle arguments, right? And we have to go into like greater analysis. So, for the purposes of this, just to answer your question, like, is Tibetan Buddhism a concept of non-duality? This is the question, right? Right. So, and as a consequence of that, then you say like, does Tibetan Buddhism accept the fact that everything is one, right? No. When we say we do not accept this conflict of duality, we say like, nominally, when we put a conventional name on it, nominally, when we say this is the object, this is the subject, right? So this is the conflict of duality we are talking about, perceived and perceiver. So this is the conflict of duality between object and subject. We do not say like this do not exist at all. We say nominally this exists. Okay? But under the final analysis, it's just a mental projection. Right? There is no object, there is no subject. This is the way we understand in Buddhism. We do not go on to say like, because we do not accept non-dualistic concept, we say everything is one. No, we do not make that jump.
But if there is no separation between perceived and perceiver, isn't it one thing?
No.
So it's still two things.
But when we say perceiver and the subject and object, when we talk about that, then we feel like subject is one absolute thing, right? When we talk about object, some absolute thing. First, before we jump to like this conclusion that everything is one, we need to like break down what is this object, what is this subject, and maybe if we try to like see like how emptiness approaches this, then maybe we can try to jump to the argument like whether like Buddhism talks about like everything being one. So for now, let's not get deep into this argument.
Condition to it. That sigan is tenanda kitan hawala nga zog lolon hawash to karin ra chungo butanji karin hawadi digal chindi ya wada peji koru jedan hawan da asa kangi sem ngarazu zu ta khamba inare shindong da chiu da khare na jong la na de ora hawa ni is ani senye duni tribi tadang ches 제가 두zu갈로 가서 단단 하얀 하워래 칸바 요래 신동 요래 대한다 가서 데스 참만 하워래 라 되네 제와라 디갈 뎀바 투베지 거는 요마레스 라 파긴 걸로 유용을 사실 투베 요마레라 타이는 안주기 가른 쟁고르스나 디페 오네 월 뎀바 쟁기도 알아 좀 무도 스타일 뎀바 쟁기도 라 요르 디페 도고도 데가 뎀바 투베 레라이네 라이도 제가 디 나라즈 뎀바 제바 파긴 나라즈 통데니 디 문네 리얼티 문네 딱다 요르라나 요마레스 라 이는 안주 딩아도 데마제바 라 데니 신이다 가서는 뜨베 타다 대와인 바 신이라 다다다 체다도 마부죠 다이네 딘데기 칼라나 데마제바디 아빠 칼로 생이 düğün은 통마미바네라 뜨베 타다 대와레스 딘데비 신이라디 뜨베 타다 대와레데 데마미바 신이스라 근데 시 산에 가져오는 중간 제말라데 가서 단제로 샤오라 중제 참만 남슬리가 그냥 다른 재미기 참아줘라 디 덴버데 샤가라는 간주 브레스 필링 말 덴젠라 디데 재미 젬바디 있으라 젬바나 예르미지 제슬라데 잉데 디가 딘데 재미 젬바디 바 빵고 한자 단제데 바 빵고래라 어디 야고잖아
거기 뒤에 뭐마 디카르도 하고 계시마 다 먼저이 계신 데기 니마지 요 말에라 거라다 디 유다 유진라는 무슨 요 말에 소소 일로이 때 따샤교지래라 요라
근데 이걸 콜라데 히제드라 저 단다 코딩을 또 봤어요 진짜니까
그래 근데 거기 뒤에 딜스 근데 메나스라 유다 유진라는 다 니마지 메나스 아니 제나 상마치고 왔었잖아 유다 유진라는 메나
근데 이래 메라야마다 이요래 그냥 냥간에 메시바포데 요래 그냥 바포데 요래 아니 이시 디퍼루케시 시에게 제제도 요르다 뜻은 메라오마다 요르더라 그냥 요래 나 요래 아니 퍼루케시 시기는 시작이 디 추데 요래 이네 뜻은 상마 랑은 투베 담바투베지 요래는 마 담바 베더갈 할 파타 제도나 카디리 라 페네 시바포 가 요래라 라 요래는 나 카디리 디 주구들도 디 세무들 타데 리퍼들 바 자지나는 아니에요 라 그런 예바 보이나 오라 그런 게 따들이든 하들이든 미드 카드 파야보 자지던 코니에 다 오늘 아니 버로 시에 취지도 아다지도 언줄 주고도 이 드라마들 심마들 기지 당보다 이번 파자지가 니에요 된대지를 걸리셔더라
okay now like to answer your question like then like if we do not accept these dualistic notions of like object and subject then doesn't become everything become one huge thing one become like right this is the question and then this I will give you the example the interaction between the teaching happening right now Geshema is I am giving a teaching right now and you are the one who listens to it so now like perceived and perceiver object subject in this way like let's try to understand it so if you think about it the one who's speaking right the one who's speaking or giving this teaching, if you look at carefully that teacher, right? If you look carefully, then like if you break down, there is no like one teacher as we like perceive it, right? If you break down, is the mouth the teacher, right? Is the throat the teacher? Is the intellect the teacher? And then like intellect, you can break down like so a lot of like there's no absolute unchanging like permanent kind of concept that we have created in our mind. This kind of teacher in ultimate analysis does not exist. Same criteria, same like analysis you can apply to you, the hearer, right? Who is the hearer? Right now when we just speak, then we have this like immediate grasping like I am the hearer, right? And when we say the teacher, you have immediate grasping that she is the teacher, like you have this mental projection in your mental image, right? Mental image and mental grasping. So who is the hearer? Same analysis. Is it the ear? Is it this like faculty of hearing? So there is no, in this sense, there is no object and subject. And then the interaction through sound, right? Then sound, like, is it the moment like the sound comes out of this mouth? Then where does this sound come from? Like, so if you want to like engage in this kind of like critical analysis, then we need to like break apart like everything, because we have to approach it with the attitude of with the lens of emptiness, right? So in this way we say it doesn't exist, and this is not so as such. Like in this way it doesn't exist, but nominally it exists. Yes.
Nominally meaning
by like name, by name. For this interaction to make sense, if we say like there is no object, there is no subject, then there is no way for us to have this exchange in the first place.
Are we creating this fake perceived dualism just for it to make sense? But in absolute reality, it's not Geshema as one object is there, the room as another object, and me here. Because you could say there's Geshema and there's Geshema's ear. There's two objects. Oh, there's the other one, and I, and you can break apart to every molecule. So there's an infinite number of objects. Simultaneously, it's like one object.
No.
But we are just creating.
If it's infinite, how can it be one?
Okay, but it's like an infinite thing.
Yes. So this, yeah. So we say like emptiness. One of the ways of defining emptiness is in the sense like due to different causes and conditions. Now, if these causes and conditions themselves are constantly changing, then can there really be an absolute nature of a thing? Right? No. So this is the way to approach emptiness.
But it's like there's this one changing mush. There's not separate objects. There's 2,749 objects.
Yes.
It's just...
So this is the problem we now face, even in physics, even now. In Buddhism, like if you really want to, then we need to consult like the text too first. Right? We cannot just go into like a discourse right now. You need to lay the base too, right? But now it's good. You have now like the curiosity, right? And then you have like your own way of like reasoning, right? And then maybe you read more texts about this, and then maybe you will like find like another sort of perspective.
Can I talk about the only pay Masia Burra? Kalana di lela wishing the son of Kotuman. Kalana di garage son of Yaku, Tani Jinera. She need this so. Kina di Umaba Tawa later. She tombani cola the song to a calicabra. Mandan imagine the share calicabra, concession in a lone mambo, Sunda. The Netaji Chin, Kali Kalichin Dusunda. I'm some in the China dig on the Lohash, the Kandajin, Tobatan, Topach Jevatan, Hansa Yaparestra.
So this like intellectual doubt or this philosophical doubt that you have, it's very good, because this is like in the end like the contemplation, the nature of contemplation in the Buddhist practice. It's like this. You have to be like willing to like put everything under the blade of reasoning, and it has to like survive the blade of reasoning in the end, for it to be a self-evident fact in Buddhism. And even the Dalai Lama, he always like stresses the importance of reasoning in the spiritual path, not just to follow it out of blind faith. But the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit, right? So you need to like you will not get like an understanding immediately. You should work with your doubt. You should be patient with yourself. You should be patient with the text. So yes, good question. It's a good like place to start your investigation. But do not expect to find all the answer in one place or from one person, because this is not the way like it works.
Why the real and Yakatan Shiba, the Devre and Chico Shahoma, the Karajin, the Tizan of the Loma Busa, the Dilora, Chitan the Dig Topacha was on the town.
This is the good. I really commend you. This is why like we spend years debating, The reason is not just pointless like arguments. This is why we keep debating years on end, not just once. It doesn't end in this interaction, right? You didn't get the answer. You would not get this answer because you need to keep debating with each other. And for you to kind of debate in this manner, then you need to read a bit too, no? First.
아니 데뷔트는 심바심바 로나라기리 미심발기 텐디리 와 리스닝 yes
consult like different literature, ask other people around. Yeah.
So do you have any specific recommendations?
니 대 가리도 올라오나 야고에 나스 근데
근데 그 엄마 바라디 거도 이게 따와 라 이네 지단지 제 도대로라 가수로 바가 초다 근데 이나 그냥 오메고는 로나라
So, since you always talk about like the middle way approach, the middle way approach or like the middle way ideology is called the Madhyamika. And this is there are different texts, and this is a topic covered in the later stages of the monastic education. But you will get translations and expositions on like this topic in English. So if you search for this title, then like maybe you will find a book that you like.
이시라 당도 뒤주에 창시 아니 그런데 연구소라 이거를
So like before ending this session, there should be like this piece of paper behind like the text that we have distributed, the course evaluation form. Everyone has this? Yes. Anyone who doesn't have it? No one. Okay. So please, before like our course, it concludes tomorrow in the morning, and before that, try to fill this honestly, and then please like go to Shashi, the one in the administrative office, and submit it to her. Please do not forget to do this, and do not forget to do this honestly. Yes.
아니 그런데 자기 PT들 넣다 먹으리 똑바로 실리다. 이처럼도 본다야. 신주치네야 버리. 인지 찍으려라 가르고 다시 지루지.
Yes. Okay, now like we have like only 7 or 6 stanzas left to cover of the original text, and then we'll do that tomorrow in the morning sessions. After that, our course will be concluded, and we ended with the picture taking ceremony outside. And before that, like now we had this discussion among yourself about like what is piti. So I encourage you to work among yourself a good definition of what piti is, if you want to discuss among yourself later after the meditation session. Page 30. Jingamzo ebenda dewa male jungwe ne jere ziwa tenzin jazui jave zide bardo tenjue je ganjen dorzin jive tsuge gen jangan jijin sambe wange ge jave tenzin chile je jue je Karma ba, jigun chile chidu karma ba, jigun dongzo wangor karma ba, ujin jodu chile shabde zo. Maje banam je joje, geba nyamba mimba yang, gone gondo be wa ju.